What's up, everybody? Welcome to day 2 of our live quarterfinals wrap-up show. That is an empty chair next to me. Tommy is en route. He is stuck in traffic right now. So apologize for that. But here's what we have on tap. Pat Vellner is going to be joining us here in a little bit. And then later on in the show, we are going to have Amanda Barnhart joining us as well. Once again, Tommy is stuck in traffic because California. So he will be here soon. So if anybody has some questions, fire away. Like I said, we're going to have Pat Vellner here in a second. Hopefully he'll be hopping on in a couple of minutes. And then later on in the show, we'll have Amanda Barnhart, who had a huge day too. I don't know if you guys are watching social media, but she had a squat clean of 275 pounds for a PR, and that made me feel bad about myself. So hope you guys are having a good Saturday. Appreciate you being here. We do have some news from the women's side that I can report. Here's what I know. So yesterday when we were talking to you, we were going through the North American Women's Leaderboard, and not Amanda, I apologies. Bethany Shadburn's name was not on there. I checked on that, checked with the scoring team. I have been told that she has not submitted any scores. That's all I know. So we'll have to wait and see what the official explanation on that is. But Bethany Shadburn has not submitted any scores for the 4 workouts so far. Danny has a question about penalties. Yeah, Noah went from first to third after 2 workouts. So what I was told there, and CrossFit is going to be releasing I've been told this as well, a full sort of summary of all the penalties that were handed out. But for this one specifically, I was told that there was a problem with him. He was fine on the depth of his pistols. It was the full extension at the top. So he was penalized there, and that's why he was dropped from a first place finish in workout number 2, who I think down to what ended up an 8th place finish when it was all said and done. And remember, this is all still unofficial, and they're still reviewing everything. So that's what I can tell you about the penalty from Pat Vellner. But once again, on Bethany Shadburn, I have been told by the CrossFit scoring staff that she has not submitted scores. I have no idea why, but we will wait for that, an explanation on that. So she will not be advancing to semifinals, which is unfortunate. Was really looking forward to seeing what she could do. So as I said, we're waiting on Pat Vellner. Hopefully he'll be jumping on here pretty soon. And then later on, we will have Amanda Barnhart. Tommy will also be here momentarily. And speak of the devil, here he is. Let's bring him on. Pat Vellner, how you doing, man?
Good, Sean. How are you doing?
I'm good. So when I look at the leaderboard here, you made quite the move on day number 2. Now, this is unofficial, but you are currently sitting in 8th place overall. How did day 2 go for you?
Oh, that's nice. I haven't seen it yet. So it went obviously a little better than day 1, I guess. I think it was kind of how I expected the weekend to be. I think I knew I'd take my medicine a little bit on day 1. And like usual, I think it's hard to put too much emphasis on a leaderboard after one day, and sort of things take shape as more events play out. But second day was great. I lifted super well. I haven't been doing a lot of strength training lately, so I was really happy. I PR'd all 3 of my lifts, and I think in relative terms, it may not be the most impressive numbers anyone's ever seen, but for me, it was a great day. So that was fun. That wall ball shuttle workout was pretty miserable, but sometimes you just have to do that stuff. I'm not too bad at grinding those out. And we actually just finished. We just did the last workout, so I think the last one went pretty well as well. So hopefully I keep that upward trajectory. And yeah, have not a bad quarterfinals finish. Find myself somewhere in the top 10. I'd be happy with that.
You are a veteran competitor. I mean, I know how you know how to train and how to prepare yourself as you go through the season, but what's your approach to quarterfinals?
I think I try not to worry too much about it. The priority shift from the Open to quarterfinals to semifinals, I try to think of it in very practical terms. So in the Open, especially in a 3-week Open, it's hard to set a goal like win the Open, because anybody can get a bad pitch somewhere in there, and with only 3 scores, you don't want to set a really serious outcome-based goal like that in the Open. And it doesn't really matter. You can take some time to work on other things. But in the quarterfinals, there's actually some incentive to finishing a little higher, because it might give you a heat advantage going into the semifinals, going into the next round. which is where it really matters. So, there's progressing importance as the season progresses. So priorities coming into the quarterfinals was just to try to treat it like a live competition. Don't do anything over again. Try to execute well, make as little mistakes as possible, keep things clean. I know we've seen a lot of penalties play out in the last 24 hours. So, treat it like a competition. Do things as well as you can, and, try to plant yourself somewhere that's going to give you a last heat start in the semifinals. So try to finish, I guess in North America, that means in the top 40 likely. Give yourself a chance to select the competition you want to go to and have the best advantage you can going into it. So in the simplest terms, like, those are the goals. And we've had the chance to kind of do it with some other athletes, like here with Ellie Turner and Freya Moosbrugger, and Michelle came out from Montreal to do it with us. So it's nice. It's nice to kind of get the team together and have a fun weekend of it. Treat it a little more like a competition and have a little more fun than the Open is.
We got Tommy here. What did you learn about your fitness after you competed at Watapalooza?
I still got it. I guess,
at the ripe old age of 32.
Boy, I was getting a lot of ribbing after the weightlifting event for the quarterfinals too. Like PRing all my lifts at 32, and everybody's like, "Hey, just ageless." No, I think Watapalooza was good. It gives you good perspective going into the season. You don't stress as much about, you see people putting up big scores in the Open and the quarterfinals, and I know these guys. I competed against them 3 months ago. Like, not that much has changed. I think some people put different emphasis on different events or different times of the year. Everyone's training is in a slightly different place, but it's good to know that when it's crunch time and we're on a competition floor, I know how to execute and I know how to perform on demand. So I think that's always reassuring, especially Watapalooza was kind of different this year. There was a very different landscape of athletes. There's a whole new group of young guys coming up that are exceptionally talented. So it's kind of fun. It's cool to see all that take shape, and just sort of, still be able to kind of float to the top of it. But I see everybody coming. That's the big thing. Is it's nice to take the field in some of those competitions and see it firsthand. But these guys are good, and a lot of the names you see on the leaderboard are not going anywhere anytime soon.
Have you talked about the lifts yet?
No, have not.
Okay, I was curious because I know you posted on social media that you hit some PRs across the board. I imagine at this stage of your career, those 1 rep max tests are usually few and far between, or at least the PRs are. What's it like to hit those all-time bests, even as an anomaly at 32 years old?
It's a miracle, Tommy. It's good. It's reassuring. I think I was talking to my coach Michelle afterwards, and I haven't been doing a lot of strength training, and we do our strength training slightly differently, just because the impact's different, and I just can't take a high pounding, like a high beating on my joints all the time. So we have to be very careful about how we dose that stuff, and strength train with slightly differently, lots of Bulgarian stuff. The 1 rep maxes, you're right. I never see them. I need a very good reason to load the bar that heavy, and competition is a good reason. So I think it's good from a confidence perspective, because sometimes you do line up in competition in front of a bar that you're like, geez, the last time I lifted this weight was 5 years ago. So it's cool to have that and be like, hey, but recently I've done these things and I know where I'm at when I need to be. And it's also just reassuring that what we've been doing to keep my body healthy, and dose that intensity and keep my joints intact has been working and getting me stronger anyway. You don't need to be lifting heavy 5 times a week to get stronger. And I think that's really reassuring to see happen. I think it's one thing to kind of have faith that it's going to happen or know it, but to see it makes a big difference. So it was really cool. I mean, and I don't want to give the impression that I was hitting 20-pound PRs out there. Like, I think I PR'd my overhead squat by 1 pound, and then I missed my next jump after that. And my bench was 6 pounds, and my clean was 6 pounds. So, they weren't exceptional, but hey, it's upward trajectory, right? It's the right direction.
You mentioned having Ellie Turner there. What have you seen from her that has impressed you the most?
I think that, both her and Freya have limited competition experience. So these types of atmospheres are good for them. And I think you just see growing confidence, which is cool. And I mean, it's funny. It's funny being the lone male competitor here, because sometimes I did a couple of the workouts first and then they would maybe do them together. and you give some feedback. My feedback doing it as a male competitor is sometimes completely irrelevant. So I know that. And like, I feel a bit like the odd one out, like Michelle Latondra's there giving tips and they're both competing. And then sometimes everybody kind of looks at me like, what are your thoughts? I'm like, I don't know. Honestly, like I'll give you my thoughts, but I'm not sure what they're worth. But it's cool to see. Like I'm 10 years older than them almost, right? 10 years older than Freya, maybe like a little less than Ellie. So it's fun to see that develop. It's fun to see, I think Michelle's got a renewed energy coaching them as well, instead of just grizzled old me. So it is very fun. It's fun to see them doing it and stepping into those, those like games level positions and pushing for those spots. They've got a hard road ahead of them, both of them. I mean, Ellie competing with the crew that's going out for the women in Oceania is going to be no small feat. And, Freya's kind of pushing for her first shot at the games this year. So it's fun, but it's cool to be a part of for sure.
All right. Well, we will let you get back to it. How'd you feel about that? Actually, you know what? I want to ask you one last time is Tommy is a quarterfinals athlete like yourself,
1-to-1.
And the shuttle sprints, what was that like?
Oh, they're miserable, man. They're miserable. Initially, when I saw the workout, I didn't read it. I saw it and I thought it would be like counted because they were even numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I assumed it was like, oh, every 25 feet is one. So you always finish on the same side because it's an even number. And then we did the first day's events and I didn't really think about it anymore. And then when we showed up that day to do that event, I was like, oh, it's double the running that I thought. I see. This is going to be a real treat. So it's tough. It's just, and there's I think there was some concern that there may not be enough leg testing in these quarterfinals workouts when the floor plans came out. But let me tell you, the legs got their due. And I think that workout, you really felt it. Like the legs got real heavy in those middle rounds with the wall balls after having done all the pistols, all the lunging. That constant stop and start, accelerate, decelerate, man. I don't care how many times. I ran a lot of shuttle sprints when I played lacrosse back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I will be the first to tell you I'm a very different athlete now than I was then. But boy, like my legs were heavy as hell in the middle there. So that'll suck the life out of anybody. I don't care who you are. So that was a lot of guts. I think the people who come out on top there and won those ones, like hats off, because that was a pretty tough workout.
I'm glad you said that because I feel like I got hit by a Mack truck today. My legs feel awful. And I was surprised at how and I was curious to hear if this from my lower back from like bending over and touching every time. Like just like from the bend and touch, like I just forgot about like doing that a million times on every side. And I noticed on one side, if I kept turning to the same side, I felt it on that side, and then I had to switch it up. And you're probably
I kept facing the same wall, so I would alternate sides. So you'd push off one leg and then the other every time. But yeah, I don't know. My low back's not too bad. Frankly, like my whole body feels pretty good. Other than I kind of bugged my neck on that handstand push-up workout on the first day, and then my legs have been slowly taking a pounding. But it's good. I feel like I competed all weekend. I'm sure. I hope you feel the same. That's how you should feel. But I'll say that I think I got like halfway through the set of 12 shuttle runs. So that's like the third round of a 7-round workout. And my judge was like 6. And I was like, oh, like I'm halfway through the 12. Then I got the 16, then the 12. And then I was like, oh, you're going to be here for a while, bro. This is going to be bad. So I had a bit of a reality check before the halfway point of the workout that I was in for a long haul. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of people had that realization at some point during that workout.
Well, we'll let you go, take a nice Epsom salt bath,
Ooh.
Maybe suck on a peach pit, get to bed at 7 p.m., put the Tiger
that's good. I'm going to have the day off tomorrow. That's
all right.
Offered, so
well, good stuff. The family's doing well?
Yeah, man. That's the problem. I got to get home. I've been on the mainland and Michelle's been home with the baby for the last 2 days. So I owe her one. I got to catch a ferry in like an hour and a half here and be home rubbing her feet tonight.
Good man.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. We appreciate you doing this, and best luck the rest of the way, and looking forward to seeing you compete at semifinals.
Cheers, guys. We'll catch you later.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, Pat Vellner stopping by. So Tommy is here, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go through some leaderboards because we're going to bring Amanda Barnhart on here in a second.
Let me take this sweatshirt off. It is cooking here.
It's a little warm in here, isn't it?
It is much warmer than it is back
So
home.
for those of you who just joined us, we had a couple things I wanted to update people on. We had a question at the beginning about penalties. The only one I know about is Noah Olson. Noah Olson got penalized, but this the only explanation I know is from him. And CrossFit is going to, I've been told, publish a rundown of all the penalties that were given and why. The one for Noah Olson was based on his pistols. It wasn't the depth. It was the fact that he was not reaching full extension.
Oh, at the top?
At the top. So he got penalized for that. And then we mentioned yesterday there were some questions about not seeing Bethany Shadburn on the leaderboard. I was told by the CrossFit scoring team that she has not submitted scores.
Oof.
So don't know what the explanation on that one is, but won't be advancing. So we'll have to wait for the explanation on that. But let's take a look now at the leaderboards, and we'll start with.
Oh, interesting. Someone said that. Oh, yeah. Where are we starting?
We'll start with the North American men.
Okay.
Justin Medeiros is in first place. Now, let's keep in mind that this is all unofficial. These could change. You got Jeff Adler in second, followed by Noah Olson. So that second workout, he went from a first to an eighth. So he got assessed a penalty. He didn't have as good a day today as he did on day one, 34th and the 72nd. But now you look at this leaderboard and it makes a lot more sense. These are the names we're used to seeing. Scott Panchik is up there ahead of his brothers.
Yep.
Chandler Smith had a 14th in workout 4, 1,089 pounds. Man, the best of anybody inside that top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Samuel Quant, Saxon Panchik.
Nice Samuel Quant coming back.
Yeah, Griffin Raleigh, no surprise, finished third in workout 4, 1,128 pounds.
What was my guess?
Yeah, you were right up there.
1,100 to 1,150.
Vellner unofficially in 8th place right now. Spencer Panchik in 10th, and then you work your way down to the next group.
Hopper making his way back. You're starting to see some of the big names start to Fikowski moving up the leaderboard. Yep.
Ben Smith in 30th.
Woo.
Look at Ben Smith. Tim Paulson there as well in 31st. And I checked the cut line, and there's really nobody that you would recognize at first glance who's hovering around that 120. Because remember, the top 120 men and women from North America go to the semifinals. So let's take a look now at the women. We'll go.
Mine is still not updating at that.
So we got Alexis Raptis unofficially in first place with 58 points. Mallory O'Brien sits in second. Danielle Brandon is now in third. Amanda Barnhart jumping up to fourth place overall, courtesy of that 715-pound score and workout 4, good enough for a 9th place finish. She had a 275-pound clean. Can't wait to ask her about that. Emma Lawson is up there in 5th place. I think yesterday she was in 1st.
Yes, she was.
Christy O'Connell stays inside the top 10. How about Brooke Wells in 7th?
Yep.
Paige Semenza moving up.
Semenza showing up good.
Olivia Kerstetter and Ariel Lowen rounding out the top 10. So and then you have a lot of Canadians after that. Sydney McCallishan, Freya Moosbrugger that we heard Pat Vellner talk about, and Annika Greer. How about her having a great year here so far?
Awesome.
Yeah. Emily Rolfe is there.
Do we have like a running theme? Do we have like a Talking Elite Fitness curse or boost that we can trace? Like athletes come on, they do pretty well.
Yeah, maybe like that. Yeah,
we can start that.
So we'll go to the second page here.
Kelly Clark, 19.
Yeah, good job,
yeah.
Kelly.
Kelly.
Go to page number 2. We'll just scroll back up here. Who's jumping out here?
Starting to see, because I know Danny Spiegel got a penalty.
She did.
I think it was on the second one.
Becca Voigt Miller's in 66th place, Tommy. 66th place.
Death, taxes, and Becca Voigt Miller.
She'll be going to semifinals, barring a disaster. But most of the names that you would expect to see here in the top 120 are there.
Brenda Castro, good to see her back up that way. I'm always interested because you hear some people say that they want Mexico included with South America.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that's the right move.
I don't think it is either. I think as far as like continents are concerned, you got to. It's much easier to stick with like the letter of the law of how we organize those things.
I'm going to give Amanda Barnhart a heads up that we are ready for her.
All right.
So you can continue to look at some standings.
All right. So should we go over to, let's go Europe, go to the European men.
do that. I will follow along.
Okay,
So,
European men. He was in 6th on day 1, just hovering.
And
BKG,
there is Bjorgvin Karl Gudmundsson up in first place. And this is another leaderboard that after day 1, I was kind of a head scratcher.
Yeah.
But now it's starting to round out, as you would expect. Lazar Jukic is there in second place. Willie George,
You're like,
Jonakoski.
Oh, man. Yeah. BKG just be like, nice job, fellas. I got it from here. What's really impressive is Willie George at 10th in the total. Remember, he had shoulder surgery.
That's big.
I spoke to him in Dubai, and he said that one of the things that was really slow to come back as far as like his rehab and everything like that is feeling where weights were overhead in space. So overhead squats, jerks, having that like tactile feedback of knowing where that bar is at all times, being able to manipulate it accordingly. And so to be able to do that well with something like an overhead squat, tremendous sign that he could be back to full speed. We did get a message on from Joe Schmo, great name, talk about insanity of Olivia Kerstetter in 9th. Yes.
Yeah,
another teen athlete. We got to see her at the MAC compete last year. Tremendous athlete, and one of those young women that is undoubtedly going to make an impact in the sport. Let's see. Yeah, a lot.
I got the cut line up right now, so you can see the athletes who are there.
Yep. Heinrich Happelainen didn't have the best day 1, but now you can see. Let's see. I want to see where. Let's see. Victor. This is what I want to see. Victor Lungdahl. One of the surprise stories out of the Open last year. The strength event is what crushed him. He had an 11th in the first event. He's been hanging around the hundreds since, but to get through this one, granted he didn't crack the 1,000, the 1,000-pound mark, but he's in 35th.
All right.
That's kind of the big question for him is like, could he get through the strength portion and be able to hold on? The other question I had coming out of day 1, let me find Luka Jukic.
Yeah, he's down there. He moved up as well.
Yeah, he moved up. He was outside of it. Let's see, Zach George. Nice to see him. I want to see, because I was hearing some things. Oh yeah, our boy Big Braun breaking 1,100, and Giannis Papadopoulos 1,130. So hitting in that same mark.
All right. Well, we'll get back to the leaderboard in just a second, but right now we want to welcome on the woman who currently sits unofficially in 4th place in North America, Amanda Barnhart. Amanda, how you doing?
Hey guys, how are you?
I'm great. So, as someone who is never going to clean 275 pounds ever, what did that feel like?
Oh my gosh. I honestly still can't believe I cleaned that much because it's crazy because I did 265 last week, like the week before this, because we actually practiced the total hoping that it was coming. And I hit 265 and I was like, man, it would be cool if I hit 275 next week. And I did, but it still feels very surreal. I feel like 275 is like on that upper end. Like I'm like 300 is like 25 pounds away. Like that seems
It's unbelievable.
I know. And I'm curious how strategy wise, how do you account for that? Because, you had that number in your head already, 275. I'm going to be honest. It looked like it went up pretty easy. It probably felt different than how it looked, but is there something in the back of your mind? Like, and we obviously don't know this, whether you did or not, like maybe I should go for another one, or did you have that number? If I got it, I'm good.
No, I definitely didn't have that. I started the clock at because we could kind of warm up and then start our clock with the clean. And I started the clock at 245 and I was like, just kind of did some steady jumps from there. Like 255 or 260 felt really bad. And then 270 was good, but not great. And then 275 felt better. So it's kind of just like, I don't know. I definitely think I had more in the tank, but after overhead squatting, I'm really glad I did not do any more cleans because my overhead squat was tanked by the time I got there. So I think it's just, strategy in the moment, being like, is it worth getting 5 more pounds and then being really tired at the end for the overhead squat?
What is your approach to quarterfinals, since I feel like this is sort of the beginning of the season for you guys?
So, I mean, it matters. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter at all, but so we have to show up and we have to do well. But obviously the goal is to do the workout once, submit the score and not really think about it and move on and, kind of get it done as not as quickly as possible, but get it done. So we're done right now. For example, like I'm not doing any more workouts after this. I'm done for the weekend. So, we put some pressure on it. We take it seriously. We go our hardest, but I'm definitely not redoing or unless something, catastrophe happens, because we know that the focus is on semis and the games.
And as far as the other workouts, so you say that you're done. Obviously, we have 4 scored events in the books that are public. Going across the other 3, because I think we naturally gravitate towards the big lifts. Like, how do you feel about how the other 3 tests that we know of so far went?
The first one, like on paper, did not look that hard. I'm like, oh, this one's gonna be fun. But it was so painful. Like those lunges were horrible. I felt like I got lactic super fast, but I do like handstand push-ups and lunges, and I was overall very happy with the execution of that one.
Mhm.
The second one did not go as planned, but I'm still proud of my effort and proud of the score. My ring muscle ups have come a really, really long way. I just haven't been doing them with GHD setups yet. So I have to practice that combination and learn how to do muscle ups with a fatigued core. But yeah, I was still proud of that. We worked really hard on my upper body pulling in the gymnastics. So, and then what was the other one? I don't even remember.
Oh, the wall balls and rope climbs.
Oh, yeah, I like just did that workout, so it's like super fresh. I'm still sitting the rope. Like, I don't, does that ever happen to you guys where the rope like kind of shreds a little bit and then it like
Oh,
makes you sneeze?
yep.
Oh, I
I'm
get
in,
itchy.
Oh yeah, it's like
Like I just rolled around in the grass.
it's like a hay allergy almost, hay
Mhm.
fever.
yeah, I
Yep.
feel like someone put a cat in my face. I can't stop sneezing.
Climb
Oh,
this cat rope.
yep. Oh man.
But do a lot of shuttle runs at comp train, so I was freaking pumped for this workout. I was like, we do shuttle runs like every Saturday, so this
Oh,
is so different than any other Saturday afternoon. We're in the gym doing shuttle runs, so I did really enjoy that workout. I like wall balls and rope climb, so I just think like programming wise, like the tests have been awesome, and I mean that was like a good finish to my weekend because I did that one last today.
mhm. You mentioned the shuttle runs. You know, granted, I was able to do these workouts too, albeit at a different pace and
Able.
structure as you. But the I was surprised at how difficult the shuttle runs were for people, for just in general. I'm curious if there are any tips that you had. Like one thing that came to mind for me was foot cadence. Was that something that you guys go into as far as like a 25-foot shuttle run or something that you practice?
Yeah, I think getting your steps down and kind of being consistent with them is huge because if you're stutter stepping and taking, all these tiny little steps especially at the turnaround, like you're wasting so much time and energy. So making sure you're turning and not spinning in a circle, pushing off your lead leg, turning efficiently. And like you don't have that much time to get up to speed, so you kind of have to concentrate on like going fast as soon as you turn because before you know it, you're turning again.
Mm.
And they always hurt so bad. I don't know why shuttle runs hurt so bad. It's like that deep gut burn that you get.
It's that start stop, man.
It
It's the
is.
accelerating and then decelerating. It's just that quick burst.
I mentioned this with Vellner. My back was actually from turning the same direction every time. One side of my back was a little toasty, and I had to switch and make sure I was facing the same direction. I didn't even
Yeah.
realize it. Just like after all the leg work and everything that we've done, and I did the lunge workout before, just that
Oh,
like hinging was actually like a surprise little wear and tear on my back.
yeah, for sure. I thought about that during warm up. I'm like, is this going to be a back blow up workout? Like with the wall balls and the touching the ground? Because when we do shuttle runs, typically we don't touch the ground. So that was kind of a new thing for me to practice today. But yeah, I was pushing off my left leg every time, I think, because I'm just
Mm.
dominant that way. And at like the halfway point, I'm like, my left hamstring is going to be so sore tomorrow. Like doing a million push-offs, but it was too late to switch at that point.
What's the biggest difference between you now as an athlete as opposed to when we kind of first saw you burst onto the scene in 2018?
Oh my gosh. I feel like I've grown a lot physically, but honestly, I feel like mentally I've grown so much. Like there's so much to be said about experience in the sport of CrossFit. Like, so when people come out young and they're doing great, like it is impressive as heck. And like, as you get more and more experience under you and you learn like that things are never going to go according to plan and just learning what to expect in workouts, how to recover, listening to your body. I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned is like more is not better. and, better is better. So listening to my body, not being ashamed if I'm having a day where I need to rest and do less. It doesn't mean that it's going to hurt me in the long run. So obviously physically I've come a long way too, but that's slow and steady grind over the last 4 or 5 years of working really hard. But the mental, growth has been really, really cool.
And this is, a year where it feels like more than some of the past years. We have some consistency from year to year as far as the season structure is concerned. Is there something that you're taking with you this season that maybe you learned from how the season flowed last year that you feel like you're applying at a much better rate?
Yeah, I think that was one of the things last year is like, I tried not to take the open seriously and try not to take quarterfinals seriously, but like there's going to be stress no matter what we tell ourselves. Like we know it matters. So we're stressed about the open, even though it doesn't matter. We're still stressed. I was super stressed this weekend, even though I knew it was nowhere near the level of stress at semifinals. So it's taking that into account and like giving your body some rest around it, because if you want to be able to train hard for those 6 to 8 weeks going into quarters or semis, or those 6 to 8 weeks going into the games, like you really need to have your body rested. So last year I didn't do as good of a job of that. And this year, knowing exactly the layout, knowing how I felt last year, it's like we're staying on top of that, taking a little more rest than maybe you think necessary. Like if you want to take 2 days, maybe you should take 3 days off. Like really listening to your body and like giving yourself a chance to feel good, because that's when you get fit in training, when you feel good.
Yeah, I don't feel so bad now when I take 3 days without working out.
Dude, I took
Amanda Barnhart does it.
I mean, I took a week off last week and came back and
yeah, felt pretty good.
I feel like I got hit by a truck, like I said, but it's all right. You know what?
Yeah, never feel good when you first come back. It's like,
oh yeah,
the first week after coming back, you have to know, like, you're going to feel so bad and so unfit, but it's after that is when your body's going to thank you.
And I will say though, there is this weird, like, and I don't know if there's a science to it, but I feel like if you come off a long vacation and you just do a simple, like maybe like 1 rep max power clean or something that's not too technical, I feel like it's like PR season every single time. Maybe
True.
it's just that extra little rest.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Amanda, again, congratulations on the 275-pound clean PR. That was amazing to watch. Best of luck the rest of the way, and we are certainly looking forward to watching you compete at semifinals. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
You too.
Amanda Barnhart.
Crushing it.
Just like I said, I will never clean 275 ever unless you're helping. Unbelievable. All right. Let's get back to some leaderboards here.
So we had, I just got the chills. My body is like, my central nervous system is all over the place right now. It is. I woke up this morning and I went to sit up and I felt every one of those GHDs. And
let's go to the European women.
Okay.
Gabriela Magawa is in first place unofficially. Let's keep that in mind, because as you guys saw yesterday, these scores could shift a little bit. But pending the review, Emma McQuaid sits in second. Jacqueline Dahlstrom really kind of taking the mantle for Norway.
Yeah.
Emma Tall is up there in fourth. Lucy Campbell
holding strong.
Yeah. And then Sarah Sigmund's daughter, who started the day yesterday in first. The thing that impresses me there, 13th in number 4. That's a great result for Sarah Sigmund's daughter.
More importantly, hopefully safe too, like a safe 13th.
Yeah. Matilda Garns.
Sol daughter.
Yep. And then Laura Horvath, who had that 90th to kick things off, strict handstand pushups, that specific weakness that you've talked about and everybody knows about. But she went from 39th now up to 11th after day 2. So
first in the total.
With 1 remaining. And then
she might have overhead squatted the same that I did. Because she did a double at 265 the other day.
That's incredible. You work your way down the leaderboard. Mia Hesketh is down there.
Karin Freyova. Good to see Mia Hesketh back, making her way back.
Leinen is there.
Trying to looking.
I'll go to page 2 here so we can see the cut line. Again, that's the top 60 out of Europe who will go. So it looks like, Michaela Norman is 3 points out. So that'll be a good one to watch. And how about Sam Briggs is currently in 59th.
Oh my goodness.
And that last one is old stomp the gas sprint. So you got to like her chance of making it into semifinals. That's incredible too. 8 Gilfa daughters and 53rd. So some familiar names floating around that line right now with 1 test remaining.
Yeah, I'm kind of going below. Let's see. Leah Schmidt, flip firm, young athlete out of Sweden. Man, I wouldn't be surprised to see this cut line move down to maybe 90 next year. Rebecca Vidison, Louise Wickstrom, 2 athletes that are actually on the Butcher's Lab team a couple years ago that I've seen compete out of Europe. We were actually in China at the Pandaland event together.
Let's go. You want to go to Oceania now?
Yeah.
Let's go to Oceania. Women's race. Let's see where that is. Tia Toomey got a second. She's terrible. Washed up, Tommy.
Oh, man.
And I mean, look at
How dare she?
And you know who she lost to was Cara Saunders. So, and again, unofficial right now. But Toomey with 3 firsts and a second, 5 total points. Cara Saunders sits in second with that first place finish in workout 4, again, unofficial. Ellie Turner is in third. Wow, how about that?
Yeah, nice. Moving up.
Maddie Sturt, Jamie Simmons.
Yep. You can see the clear disparity between the finishes for Jamie Simmons, 5th, 4th, 3rd, then the 36th on the total. Another question mark similar to Willie George about the shoulder. But yeah. Interesting question from Danny. Has Gabby McGawa always been this strong? I don't think she would be that high in the total, but maybe I'm wrong. She's definitely been one of the strong. She's definitely been strong. Really strong below parallel. Good technique. The one thing that's typically been kind of the thing that holds her back is some upper body pulling, and particularly endurance when it comes to like legless rope climbs, muscle ups, ring muscle ups, things like that.
And then you go down to the cut line, and which is a 30th. So Katie Brock right now with a 7-point lead that that could change again over Castell Pridgeon for that final spot because it's the top 30 from Australia. So Tia Toomey and Cara Saunders. I love that battle between the two of them.
Oh man,
that'll be fun to watch at the Torium Pro.
We were talking to our good friend Chad Schroeder, the Beard of Knowledge. Actually, not beard anymore.
Yeah, he got rid of it. I still call him the Beard of Knowledge, but it was like the goatee of knowledge.
Yeah, and he was saying Jamie Simmons, Cara Saunders, and Tia Claire Toomey have only ever competed together in live competition 3 times.
So that's all the games, right?
No. 2014 regionals.
Okay.
And then twice at the 17 and 18 games. Otherwise, they've missed each other's in other years. So
that'll be fun.
We're heading towards a nice show.
That will be fun.
It'll be 4 years since we've seen all 3 on the competition floor together.
And then over on the men's side, wow, Ricky Garrard is number 1 now. He had a 4th and a 4th, unofficial. He has a 2-point lead over Jay Crouch. So we'll see how that shakes out.
Man,
how about that,
and
Ricky?
You see some of the guys like the Ben Fowler, the young guns that were up at the top got a little lesson in some of the top end strength numbers.
His brother Luke is down there in 16th, so they're still looking good. Brandon Swanee, one of my favorite people ever. I remember when we used to do interviews with athletes, before the games, we'd bring them down there and you're like, hey, I said, what do you do outside of CrossFit? And he goes, I'm Batman. Like, no, seriously, what do you do? I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
All right, we'll just put that down. Thanks.
Easy.
Yep. So that was good. Royce Dunn, 41st and then a 7th in the total. So he's down there in 14th place.
We
Rob Forte,
as we predict,
vet. And then James Newberry moves up from outside of contention. I think he was 40th overall.
Yeah.
After day 1, he's now in 21st. So James Newberry looking to go to semifinals again. The top 30.
As we predicted, they would that some of those big names would move back up into the top 30 overall.
Yeah, there's another Fowler down there in 36th,
Yeah.
Samuel.
How many Fowlers are there?
You can't swing a dead cat down there without hitting a Fowler.
Some Fowler play.
Okay. Where's my horn? My sad horn is this? There it is. All right, where do we need to go next? Let's go to, we've done North America, Oceania, Europe. Let's go to Africa. And we will start on the men's sides. Jason Smith, 38 years old. He's at the top of the overall leaderboard. I think he was 5th after day 1. He has 23 points. And I'll keep saying this because we we have to drive this home. This is unofficial. These could change.
Yep.
But the fact that he's even up there is incredible. Ruan Duvenage sits in 2nd. Keelan Henry, who had a hell of a day 1, first and a first, had a 3rd and then slipped down to 34th in workout 4.
And that's kind of, I think this is indicative of what you see in some of these countries that you maybe only get, these continents, you only get one spot. You'll see these athletes have really, really good days or sequences, but then the average eventually catches them with one thing, whether it's like a top end strength thing or one particular skill that gets highlighted that they don't have. And that's what's impressive. Like it feels like we're kind of beating a dead horse here, but that's what's so impressive about Jason Smith and his ability to be at the top for such a long time, and not just be, at the top of Africa, but be competitive globally when he goes to things like Dubai, or when he finished top 10 at the games a few years back, or, he made it again and finished in, that like 22nd or something like that.
And I believe that didn't Keelan Henry, wasn't his score in workout 1 the top in the world?
I believe so.
I think that's according to the Beard of Knowledge. I'll put that on Chad. Hopefully I'm not wrong about that, but I think that 6:29 that he had in workout 1 was first. So there's some talent down there that's really starting to develop. Look at Mohamed Olomda in 8th.
Yep.
Good for
representing
him.
Egypt. He was at, I believe, was he the event director for Elfit when it was
He may have been. That sounds familiar. Let's go over to the women's side of Africa. Top 30 again for men and women to make
Michelle
it.
Marin.
Yep. The Qers, Michelle Basnet sits in 3rd.
She kind of moves up a little bit.
Dinah Swift. So a lot of names that we're used to seeing towards the top of the Africa leaderboard for the women's side. And then we'll just scroll down here to the cut line. At 30th would be Megan Fall, would be the last one in. Boy, she's only 1 point up on Antoinette Scott. So that's going to be a good battle going into the final event. And that could change unofficial again as scores get adjusted. Okay, we'll go to Asia. We'll go to the women's Asia leaderboard right now. Sungyoung Choi out of South Korea is your leader with 15 points, has a 5-point lead over Svetlana Veselova. Sayer Kaya tied with Shadad Budebs. And then looking for anybody else, a lot of Yuko Sakiyama down there.
Struggled with
11th.
the wall balls. That's something we haven't really talked about, but the 10-foot target.
The 10-foot target this year, yeah.
It's going to grab some people for sure.
Do you think that was the right call?
Yeah, I think so. I had a conversation with this because I did workout 3 yesterday with some female athletes, and I think if you're going to make the adjustment, because they're like, oh, that's the height difference. I'm like, yeah, but you're accounting for the height and weight difference already with the ball, I think. And just standardizing that 10-foot target and then utilizing the 9-foot target for adjustments in other divisions. I think for the individual women, I think 10 feet for the target is appropriate, particularly with the 6-pound decrease in the ball. And I think, honestly, it's not going to matter in a year or 2 from now once people start training for it. It really is like the women are so fit now that all it is just a reframing of what they have to do on a daily basis. And 9 feet is going to be a thing of the past.
Let's go to the men's leaderboard.
All
Roman Krennikov is your leader.
Mm-hmm.
He is, man, what a day 2 for him. A 2nd and a 6th. So everything for him has been inside the top 6. He had a 5th and a 3rd on day 1. 1,044 pounds, man. Hanging out at Mayhem is doing that kid some good.
Interesting. If you look at, and this was from Danny, the top lift from Asia, Morteza Sedegat out of Iran, 1283.
Weightlifting very popular there.
Very popular in Iran. He's 89 kilos. So
now sometimes, before we, crown that is incredible. Sometimes in score submissions, the kilo to pound conversion can get messed up. So that I guarantee you they're going to be reviewing that. But if that's legit, goodness gracious,
sweet
googly moogly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. He made the last chance qualifier last year. Hold on.
I'm going to give him one of these. There we go. It's been a while since we used that one.
Here, let me let's do some quick back of the napkin math.
Just scrolling down here on the
he had the fourth highest deadlift for a double at 557, so clearly very strong. That is very strong. Let's see, he won the snatch workout in Asia with 50 reps.
Okay.
So
this could very well be legit.
Which is 20 snatches at 245 pounds. So I think this is going to be legit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang. All right.
And Danny mentioned listed lifts on the profile don't necessarily give me confidence.
That's true.
I would say, Danny, I would be very cautious about using listed lifts unless you cross-reference with social media and other
Mhm.
competition lists for athletes, because a lot of times what happens, because this is your CrossFit ID, if you've been competing for multiple years in a row, really, when you sign in, it just refreshes your ID. You don't necessarily always go in and like fine tune
Right,
all
right.
of those numbers.
Gotta
There,
fix that.
yeah, there are people with numbers from 8, 9, 10 years ago that haven't been updated that clearly aren't correct anymore.
Don't get me started on the game site. Okay, let's go to South America. Men
Man.
overall. Guy Majeros. Look at that. No shocker. He wins workout number 4, 1,101 pounds. I love watching that kid lift, man.
I wonder,
it's like you're watching an instructional video.
it is. It really is.
What was it? Didn't you say like he's one fast twitch muscle?
Yep. He's just a gigantic fast twitch muscle. It's beautiful. And he, the precision with which he applies that power and speed too is phenomenal. And I'm curious if he knew that, you can plan like what your total would be. I wonder if he was just like, I just want to get 1,001, like just 1 pound more.
Probably.
Because I know I'm going to win it here.
Yeah.
And so I just want to get that little extra pound.
Well, he's solidly in first with 27 points right now. Unofficially, he has a 14-point lead on Augustin Raquelme. Nicholas Bedarte sits in third place, followed by Kaike Cerveni, that's a name that we heard a lot, during semifinals last year. Of course, they'll actually get to compete in person this year, so that'll be great. That's going to be a fun semifinal down there. The top 30 men making it.
You see Pablo Chalfoun,
Games veteran.
Julian Serna, who's a longtime competitor out of the dirty South and Southeast.
And Nicolas Canil would be the last man in right now. He has an 8-point lead, 8-point cushion there because it's the top 30 men and women from South America. So finally, we'll check in on the South American women. And Luisa Marquez is tied with Julia Cato. Didn't they have weren't those two involved in a really good battle, I think, with Melina Rodriguez, who's in third place during semifinals last year? I want to say like the three of them were swapping that top spot throughout the entire weekend.
So Melina Rodriguez, I don't think had as great of a finish last year because she was sick. She got she had COVID and there was not, who else was it? Oh, it's defeating me, but I know who you're talking about. But man, Luisa Marquez, impressive.
Yeah.
Nice bounce. She has a third, first, third, and a 27th. Shorter athlete.
Yep.
Wall balls maybe, tripped her up a little bit, but I mean, you're looking, she's effectively split the workouts with Melina, who I think is the de facto kind of favorite here.
Yeah.
But she's very close with her on workout 3. And they were both top 3 in workout 1. So, I mean, you're looking at kind of the recipe for being able to upset a favorite here in this scenario. But, former teenage athlete, she's now 20, couple years spent working towards that individual side of things. See some other athletes like we talked about, Thais Nunez, Laura Gonzalez-Marin. Some athletes that were Victoria Campos. I believe Victoria won a couple individual, won an event or 2 at semifinals last year. Valentina Rangel, is holding pretty strong overall.
All right. We've looked at our leaderboards.
I'm trying to think.
So let's do this.
There was one thing I wanted to look at. Where's
Katrin at? Okay, you find Katrin, and I'm gonna look up so we can kind of look ahead to the
11th in the strength one.
Did she? Nice. Good for Katrin.
That's not something. I mean, the clean.
We're looking at workout 5, just so you know.
The big. Oh, okay.
Well, that's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, the big question is for Katrin. I think this is a differentiator. The clean may not have been her best, but she's really strong overhead.
Yeah.
Really good shoulders. So bench press would be solid. Getting the barbell overhead. For a lot of people, the limiter is not necessarily they can't squat the overhead squat. It's they can't stabilize and control it with their shoulders. So I think that may be the difference for her in being able to have a strong performance there. So
yeah. Danny, we appreciate all the input, man. Thanks a lot.
Oh,
dude.
man.
In the super chat. So we're going to give you a shout out, man. Thanks so much, man. We'll be back tomorrow at 1 to wrap all this up.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, man. So this is what awaits. Final workout. A lot of athletes have already knocked this out, but just so you guys know what's remaining, it's a sprint, 30-calorie row, 20 burpee box jump overs, and a 20-inch box for women, 24-inch box for men, and then 10 snatches, 135 for the women, 185 for the men. Gross. Didn't Chandler Smith already post a video of this?
Chandler Smith posted a 2:35 on this workout.
That is, like I said, take that fitness back to your home planet of Krypton. We don't need it here on the planet Earth. That is nuts.
That is offensive. The thing that's most offensive about it, and this is where like you can see the difference in the elite athletes versus like, us. Chandler gets done. His last couple burpee box jumps are a little squirrely, right? He's clearly pushing the threshold. And you see him step up to the bar. You're like, oh man, he's got the speed wobbles. What's he going to do here? He just casually rips off 10 in a row. Like you can be at that red line and to be able to pull that back and set yourself and then do 10 unbroken power snatches at 185. That's the elite athlete difference there. Most people would struggle to get singles, doubles, whatever you want when you're at that red line point. But Chandler, I think that's one of his strong points as far as like pushing the pace when he goes full berserker mode.
Yeah.
Is being able to pull that back and still rip it. Oh, man.
Got a question here from Esteban. Have we already talked about Emma Carey? I think we talked about her yesterday, but for those of you who don't know, she's not competing this year because of a back injury. She posted that on Instagram that she's going to be kind of taking the season off. Smart move for someone her age. Entire career ahead of her. No reason to push this.
I don't know if it was a thing at Rogue because the first thing that kind of like, hey, something might be off is her lift complex at
Watapalooza?
No, at Dubai.
Okay.
Was way low. No, it wasn't even Dubai. It was Rogue Invitational. There was a lift complex that she did that something was like, ooh, that doesn't seem quite off as far as what she has been able to lift before. She shows up to Dubai. I'm there on site, talking with her a little bit. Something seemed off there too, and a back injury forced her withdraw. Spoke with her briefly. Her family was there. She was super bummed, but hoping it wasn't something serious. And she's like, I got to shut it down. I got to focus more on the season, bigger picture goals. You cut to, now, and she has a much lower score in the deadlift burpee workout than most people would have thought. And you're kind of like, uh-oh, is something wrong? Possibly that it flared up again. Come to find out, still not quite ready. Obviously, something that she had to deal with during that open workout. She's 18 years old, whole career ahead of her. Shut it down now. Figure out what it is. The last thing you want is this to become a recurring injury, whether it's a disc, whether it's pinched nerve, whether it's, a whole host of things like Tiffany had a pars fracture in one of the wings of her vertebrae. You don't want that to be a recurring thing. So, get your imaging, get your rehab done, get it square, and make sure it's not something that's going to, show up again in the future, hopefully.
Aaron read my mind. Are you going to have Scott on, perhaps to entice him to go to the games? The guy's fourth right now in quarterfinals. I know he said he's done. But at what point does he look at this and say, you know what, maybe I can make one more run at this thing?
All right.
Do you think he's really done?
Imagine this hat is made out of tin foil. All right.
Okay. All right.
Scott Panchik decides to retire. Has a more relaxed offseason than he has ever had before. Rest, recovery, a little bit of training here, focused on family. All the extra, I don't want to say extracurricular because that's certainly not the case. Family comes first. The other things outside of training those cups are more filled. He is more fulfilled as a human being. Starts to train a little bit harder, realizes that, hey, by taking care of those other things that make me happy, it has allowed me to still not fall off that much. Sometimes there's that weird thing where like when you're a happy person or all those other things that are falling into place, right? You find a rhythm when it's training or, whatever your sport is. So he's like, okay, let me dip my toe in the open water. Just going to do these workouts. He sets that little nugget for himself when he says if he couldn't do the last open workout, 22.3 unbroken, he wouldn't sign up for quarters. He does it unbroken, clearly capable of it. Decides, I'm going to sign up for quarters. You know what happens in that time frame? Tom Brady unretires.
Oh, now here you go. I don't know if Scott is completely and totally done. I think that door, there might be a crack in that door. Maybe.
But I'm saying if Tom Brady can do it and you see that reaction, you're like, And he starts doing it again. He's at fourth right now. He does this last workout. Maybe he goes to semifinals. Maybe he says, you know what? I'm not going to change anything.
Just going to see what happens.
I'm just going to do it the same way that I've keep.
Yeah.
I'm just going to see where my natural fitness takes me here.
Maybe we'll try to, let's see if we can track him down. Maybe we can get him on tomorrow. We'll get a couple questions and then we'll sign off here. But before we do that, we have some more people who hopped on. So a couple things that we talked about at the top of the show and in the middle. So depending on when you joined us, the first was yesterday when we were here. We noticed that Bethany Shadburn was nowhere to be found on the leaderboard. Still isn't. I've reached out to the scoring team and was told that she did not submit any scores. So she will not be moving on. No idea what the explanation is, but that's what I've been told. So this is a question from Nick Patterson. If we got time, I'm super curious. Looking ahead, how do you feel programming will change at the games with Dave stepping away? I think that's a really good question. And I'm not certain that I don't know if there's going to be a noticeable difference just because Adrian Bosman, who has been around for so long and been so involved in this and has helped come up with a lot of these tests, I think he is going to put his own spin on it. But I think it will look similar. I mean, I think Dave put a very good blueprint down of how you want the sort of the things you want to test and how you want things to look. So if you didn't, if you weren't a really super programming nerd, and what I'm guessing is that after the 2022 games are done, if you laid those out against all the other ones, I don't know if it's going to jump out in any meaningful fashion.
What I think Dave was really excelled at is following the trends of what people were doing, and then just pivoting just a little bit to put them off kilter and outside of their comfort zone in a way that isn't too far of a right-hand turn, but was just enough to like make sure everyone was outside of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
He was masterful at that. And I'm really curious to see how they are able to continue that, if the foundation is intact for everyone else to kind of pick up and run with that. And there were some of those like elements of surprise that made it a spectacle that I think he was very acutely aware of. Now I think the test will continue to follow suit because there's so many people on that team that have the core concepts down and be able to apply that to the tip of the spear. But yeah, it's I also think Dave was fearless in applying some things.
Yeah.
And that's going to be something it might take some time, but I have faith that they'll be able to pull off a great test. And it'll be, like you said, it'll be different too. So I think, we have to give some leeway to understand how different might still be appropriate in that regard. Because we are talking about, at some point, you are talking about elements of style.
Yes.
Right.
And I think Boz might put a little more old school traditional spin on it.
Okay. Yeah. And that's like, if we're talking about style, then you can understand that while the style is different, the substance is still there. And so I think as long as the substance is still there, I'm open to seeing, obviously what this new style is going to be. And maybe a different spin on it is that same exact like slight pivot that the athletes weren't expecting.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that does it for day 2.
Woo.
So we will be back again tomorrow at 1 p.m. to wrap things up, 1 p.m. Pacific time.
Yep.
Keep in mind, again, all these scores are unofficial, so it's likely things will change relatively quickly.
Jeremy Foley said the Panchik brothers never all got to compete at the games together. Let me just add
fuel on the fire.
Let me add a few more antennas to this tinfoil hat here. 3 to be exact.
Yeah, we'll see if we can track down Scott. Maybe get him on tomorrow. Justin Medeiros has said that he would hop back on with us tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
We'll see who else we can track down. But thanks to Pat Vellner and Amanda Barnhart for stopping by. Thanks to you guys for watching. We really appreciate it and appreciate all the support. Good luck if you're out there and you're doing quarterfinals and you haven't done that 5th one yet, man. That's
I'm doing it tomorrow morning.
That's gonna be nasty.
I woke up this.
You know what? Where are you on the leaderboard in North America? Do we know? Let's wind up.
Man.
Let's finish with that.
Okay.
I want to find Tommy Marquez.
I'm gonna try to beat you to it.
Okay.
Nope. Doesn't show me. That's weird. Why is that?
Look, where are you?
You find me?
I'm looking. Unaffiliated, right? Nope. They don't have you yet. I'm insulted. Tommy not on the leaderboard yet.
I'm sorry, we ran out of pages.
No, listen, man. Like I said, I'm proud of you for going through these things.
Thanks,
you put
man.
up some great times and super fit. So
I know after day one, I was around 2,500, which
damn, that's good, man.
which was compared to.
I wish I could make quarterfinals. Of course, it helps if you're healthy to do the open workouts.
Which I was right. Which is I had improved by. I was around 5,000 in the open, so moving up to 2,500 was a nice.
There you go.
A nice. Let's see. Yep, 51.65 in the open, and so I was around 25.
Awesome.
So, granted, some people didn't sign up, but I do feel like as the skills broaden a little bit,
man.
I do a little bit better. So I'm happy for it.
Yeah. All right, guys. That's it, man. We'll see you guys later. See you tomorrow again, 1 p.m. right back here on our YouTube channel. Hopefully traffic won't throw a wrench into our plans. And like I said, Justin Medeiros has said that he, fingers crossed, he will join us, and we'll try to track down some other people as well as we wrap up individual. We're already through individual quarterfinals. Can you believe it? Unbelievable.
And this went by like that.
Yeah, it did.
You know.
All right, guys. Take care. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we will